As we march to the 2023 elections, politicians and Nigerians have eyes on the prize, but no one is talking about how we will navigate our troubles to get there. A former Chief of Army Staff, retired General Abdulrahman Dambazau, has warned that activities of terrorists and members of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, constitute major threats to the 2023 elections. Delivering a lecture in Abuja, Dambazau said insecurity will definitely affect conduct of the elections because some affected communities will still be displaced and the terrorists will likely to continue attacks on soft targets while access to polling units in border areas may pose some difficulties. Gentlemen, apart from the IPOB in the southeast, we're looking at those communities that have been taken over by bandits.
Yes.
That bandits, they have their own chiefs, they have their own tax collectors.
District heads.
They have their district head. They've taken over. There's no presence of government whatsoever in areas in the north.
Yes, many areas. I just returned from
So
Katsina.
INEC cannot bring their polling units close to the...
Even before now, you know, there was a by-election in Zamfara State sometime last year. INEC sent a list to the parties indicating where, just a by-election, House of Assembly election, it's just a small part of the state that was affected. But INEC sent a list indicating the communities that it will not take ballot papers to. So that don't even expect that those ones will vote. That's already a threat to
the success of the election.
Because
So
if
people will be disenfranchised.
a lot of people, I looked at, I was with former Governor Yari, and he showed me, he said, look at what is going on. This Bakura area in Zamfara.
Where the former governor is from.
Yes. He said, look at all of these places. INEC has said they will not deploy people. It means only the places that they can guarantee the safety of their staff. Those are the places where election will hold. And unfortunately for us, these guys are spreading their tentacles. We were talking about last year. They have acquired, in inverted commas, more places, more communities now. You can imagine how many INEC ad hoc staff or permanent staff will feel comfortable to go and conduct election in Briningwari. And Briningwari is a very big area. Who will feel comfortable to go and do election in Briningwari? In the northeast, especially Borno State, they found a way around it. Elections, including party primary elections, were conducted inside IDP camps. 2015 election, more than 2/3 of the elections in Borno were held inside IDP camps. The same thing happened in 2019. Borno North, the people went to do election in Monguno. So if you are from Guzamala, you are from Kukawa, you are from this, all of those places in, you are from Abadam, all of them, they had their elections inside in Monguno, which was deemed to be safe. There is a garrison command there. So sufficient military presence to allow election to happen. In places where you do not have sufficient military presence, because the military is already stretched, how do you do election in those places? So the threat in the northeast, in the northwest, and parts of north central, the Shiroro area, because now in Niger State, there are at least 5 local governments where bandits are running rampant. How do we, this is something new to them. We did not have elections in the past that came under threat of banditry. So this is a new threat. So how they intend to do elections in those places, whether they will just designate some communities to say, oh yeah, those of you from Beningwari, but how do they even come out of their area. There are some places, Ayo, that if you step out by 1 kilometer from your community, your life is in danger. So this is the thing.
Mayor, now, looking at it, coming to the southeast now, there was a video I saw sometimes last year, and the people that were shooting the video, this unknown gunmen, marksmen, they came out. People that were doing this, participating in INEC continuous registration, and they killed some people. Yes. They were attacked, and they are saying that we said there's no election in the east. There should be no election in the east. No election in the east. And they wanted to frustrate the process of collection of PVC, and some INEC officials even died.
My fear for 2023 is that there may not be an election. We have to find a way, the government have to find a way of reducing the security situation between now and election day.
The insecurity.
The insecurity between now and election day. Because why I said that there may not be an election is because if the insecurity continues, there is no way people will be able to vote. Yes, I know that government can take a decision that no matter the problems, people will still go ahead and vote, because even in war-torn countries like Afghanistan, people still come out and vote. But the problem we have in Nigeria now is that, unlike before, previous elections, that the insecurity was mainly in the northeast. So you can take a decision that people will vote in ID camps. Now, the insecurity is all over. There's IPOB in the southeast, there is bandits in the northwest, and we still have ISWAP and Boko Haram running riot. So that is why my fear that we may not have an election, or we may have an election that will not really reflect the wish of the Nigerian people. Because these bandits, unless we can reduce their influence between now and election time, if things continues the way they are, bandits that can attack railway and since April, they're still holding on to people and getting away with it. Bandits that have made the Nigerian Railway Corporation to be able to stop some services because of fear of attack. If things continue like that, how will you convince people to come out for election? Or if they come out for election and they are attacked, nobody will even want to want to come out when in subsequent elections. So we have to pray that the security forces will be able to put their acts together and reduce the menace of these bandits, so that we can have an election that will reflect the wishes of the Nigerian people.
Okay, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please keep it locked. Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangouts, and we're reaching you from TVC News here from Lagos, Nigeria, and I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akipelu in the studio. Now, Jide, still talking about this situation and the warning ahead of. Now, I remember the 2015 election. The former National Security Advisor, that Colonel Dasuki, actually raised this at a point in time in Chatham House in London, and that's actually informed the shifting of that particular exercise for 7 weeks, and we got results that time. Yes. Those local governments, they were able to stem the tide and were able to conduct elections there. It's always like that anytime it's close to election time. Now, it's like 6 months to that cycle now, to the February cycle now. And what is the best thing for the federal government to do to make sure that we have credible exercise so that nobody from any part of the country will be disenfranchised?
My biggest concern is the north. Honestly, in the southeast, the threat of IPOB is concentrated in Imo and Anambra, and it's the border communities between Imo and Anambra. It's not even many parts of Imo. It's just a small part of Imo State where you see this threat. You know, so when you go to Enugu State, it's relatively more secure than other southwest states. Ebonyi too, to a large extent. So, but when you are talking about recurrent attacks and activities of unknown gunmen, it is concentrated in a few local governments in Anambra, bordering Imo, places like Aguata, Osu, and others. Just the area where the governor comes from, you know, the Olu zone, part of Olu zone. Those boys, they've not been able to totally suppress those boys. But when we had the Nigerian Army Day celebration that I attended, even on Monday, when people ought to have sit at home, there was traffic gridlock in town because the presence of soldiers gave people the confidence to stand out en masse. There was traffic gridlock in Owerri that day because I was there. We were even saying, why should you fix your event for Monday? But they said, look, we will dominate the area and this thing will happen. But you know that when you are doing an election that is countrywide, you may not be able to deploy maximum force in everywhere that there is threat.
We might not even have that capacity.
No, it's not going to be there. How do you secure everywhere? How many soldiers do we have? How many policemen do we have? Units? And the areas where we are experiencing threats are many. You look at Katsina, for example, at least 13 local governments. There are threats. I was in Jibia last weekend. Jibia town itself is safe. But I should step out. Even the road leading to Maradi, a commercial route where people used to do business and make money. If you try to go, or you go to Shimfida, where even the army was forced to retreat at one point, you could lose your life. So if in a local government, like 4 or 5 wards are no-go areas, how do you do election? So there is no, we don't have any choice but to scale up the operations against these bandits. We must get the strategy right. We have told them repeatedly that you can't be doing it piecemeal. It has to be. Let Nigeria admit that it is at war. If we want to fight these people for 6 months, we know that, look, the operation will last this long. The areas where the operation will take place, we already know. We'll block all their exit points so that they cannot run away. All the things that we think we have done. With the other day, we said, no, don't use your phones. They stopped telco services. But these guys are back. They even found a way around it.
These foreign numbers.
Yes, they found a way around it. So now it's still phones that they are using to negotiate with people to pay ransom. How can we have a country where people are comfortable to make phone calls to ask for ransom and we can't track them? So if we crush them and we still have time between now and the election, if we are really serious and we get our strategy right, we have enough time between now and the election to crush these people. What happened in 2015? All the big towns that Boko Haram controlled, all the big local governments in Borno, in Adamawa, in Yobe, we recovered all of those local governments before the election started.
6 months.
So nothing says we cannot do it again. In fact, we can do a bigger operation, knowing that this is what we face.
Mayor, even the threats of violence, looming violence or impending violence can even cause people to just sit down at home.
Absolutely.
Not
but what I think government should do, in the case of Southeast, like Jide said, what we are dealing with is some parts of Imo and Anambra. And before the election, maybe months preceding the election, we can deliberately do some cleanup in those areas, put the IPOB boys there on the defensive, and on election day, deploy maximum force to those 2 states, that area of them. I think we can do that. In the case of the North Central and the Northwest, the problem we have is that this government does not have the will to do what is right. But because election is coming, and if they are interested in that election, what I think they should do, one, I am not sure, but I think there seems to be an approval now for us to use our air power on the bandits, because recently we've been hearing stories of targeted attack onto some bandits.
No, they've even confirmed to me that they've started using it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So now that we can now that we can use now that we can deploy now
the northeast.
They are using
the
to Kano now.
Yes.
In the northwest.
In the
They started
northwest.
using it. Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So now that we can deploy our air power in the northwest, what the government should do is that months prior to the election, the government should be honest with themselves to say, look, some part of the northwest and the north central have been taken over by the bandits. And we are in a state of war with them. There must be a major operation in all the states in the northwest and the part of north central where the bandits are. So that we not only decimate them, we will be able to push them further into Sambisa forest and put them in a situation where they will not be able to threaten the election.
Jude, whether it's 6 or 12, if you can deploy this effectively, maybe 6 of the super Tucanos or 12 of the super Tucanos, and effectively sustain campaign for, like a week, this should have impact.
Yes, but it has to be done in coordination with the surface troops.
The ground forces, yes.
One of the reasons why we are not achieving much is the Air Force have their own campaign. They do it separately. When you attack those boys, you need to put troops on ground to take over that area and dominate the area. But if you don't do that, they will come back. Yeah. So it's like we are just wasting our ammunition. Yeah. So they will come back.
And I suspect you don't have enough manpower.
You are not coming down.
To hold.
But we don't also have the will to do that.
I know that it is also extremely, extremely capital intensive. These bombs, 2,000-pound bombs, some of them cost in excess of 12,000 euros and all that. So wherever you are dropping,
as if you are dropping money.
It's money. They are very expensive. Wherever you are dropping a 2,000-pound bomb, you know that it's money that you are dropping.
Must be precision guarded.
You know that it's money. Those guys also know that we have limitations. When you go to Katsina, in the Rugu forest, for example, there are hills, there are rocks where they can hide. So the Air Force who already know that, look, these guys, there are caves here where they run into. Once they hear the sound of an airplane overhead, they run into those caves. So it makes it inevitable that ground troops will have to move into those places to do the job. Because if you can't bomb them because they are hiding inside caves, then what do you do? For so long, even America, as strong as America is when it comes to the Air Force, Omar Mullah Abdallah, the leader of Taliban, they couldn't kill him. For years, they were targeting him, and he was hiding inside caves.
Yes,
hiding inside caves for years. Because how do you then kill somebody who will not come out for you to see him? The caves provide that kind of protection.
So resilience.
If you are driving through Katsina and Zamfara, you see a lot of those hills and small rocks here and there where these guys hide. So the ground troops, this kind of war will cost lives. If we are scared that, look, a major operation will cause loss of servicemen, then we will not be able to win this war. We have to take the battle to them. Part of what General Dambazau was saying was that we should take the battle to them. That is the only guarantee of victory.
That's the only way.
The reason we are doing well in the Northeast now is because we are taking the battle to them. We are not waiting for them to come and attack us anymore. We are taking the battle to them. The Tucanos are doing a good job. The UAVs too are doing a good job. And the ground troops are conducting the mop-up operations. We have to know that the threats in the Northwest is greater than that of the Northeast now.
Yes,
How many times do you hear that Boko Haram attack a military base anymore? But we still hear these boys killing soldiers in the Northwest. It's still happening.
Yeah.
So the threats are there. We have to deal with that threat. Make these guys, make it difficult for these guys to threaten the election in any way. We did it in 2015. We can do it again.
Yes,
I believe it's possible.
I believe so.